What do you expect out of Ben Roethlisberger this coming season after how much he missed and all of it, the surgery and everything last year? A little weight gain?
Yeah, the hype video didn't sway me nearly as much as it swayed you, Jenna. To answer the question, what I expect out of Ben Roethlisberger is not much. And it's nothing against Big Ben. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 Super Bowls. The only thing missing from his resume is a league MVP, one that I picked him to win it a couple years ago. But the only part of that whole, everything you said at the beginning, I shouldn't say the only part, the most important part of everything you said was this one number, 38. That's how old Ben Roethlisberger is. And we should not be fooled by a couple unicorns in Brady and Breeze. Historically speaking, 38, not 40. 38 years old is when the vast majority of quarterbacks are done. Here's the complete list in modern NFL history of quarterbacks to have good to great years age 38 or later. Brady, Breeze, Peyton Manning had 1, Brett Favre had 1, Kurt Warner, John Elway, Warren Moon. If we expand that list to age 39 or older, Peyton, Warner, Elway fall off it, and it's just Brady, Breeze, Favre, and Moon. I don't think it's realistic to expect Ben to be excellent when you look at his contemporaries from the same draft class. Eli's done. Phillip Rivers appeared to be done last year, and the Colts inexplicably just gave him $25 million. And Ben's coming off an injury, and on top of it, I don't love the weapons he has on offense. Wilds, I think it's the least talent Ben Roethlisberger has had around him on that side of the football his whole time with the team. So, no, I don't expect, even with a well-manicured beard and a well-manicured hype video, for Ben to be excellent or even close to it this season, Wilds.
Jeez, I think he's going to be better than you think, Nick. I thought this whole hype video was a big loss for nerds. Like, all we hear about is analytics are taking over sports, right? There's no mid-range game in the NBA, and there's so many shifts in baseball, and it's home runs and strikeouts. It makes that unwatchable. But Big Ben was throwing a microchipped football that had spiral velocity or spiral something and velocity, and he said he was at 65%. His whole comeback was a science, and everybody's like, whatever. And then he's like, I shaved my beard, I could throw again. Like, he's back! He's back! So the nerds took a big L on this one. I don't think that Ben needs to be that great, Nick. They were at 8-8. His collection of backups had 18 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and 1 bonk on the head. They only threw the ball 186 yards a game. So if he's better than those guys, I think they can compete, Jenna.
I love it. The beard was holding him back. It was all about the facial hair. Greg, what do you expect out of Ben Roethlisberger this coming season?
First, the beard was definitely not holding him back. The beard enhances everything. Second, I expect, I agree with Wilds on this. I agree with Wilds on this. This is a really good Pittsburgh Steelers team, which is why they were still able to go 8-8 and almost edge themselves into the playoffs without Ben Roethlisberger, without a healthy all-year Juju Smith or Connor. So if you can get these guys back in the fold and get your quarterback healthy and he can participate in all your games this year, we don't need him to be the Ben of old. We just need him to be Ben Roethlisberger, who can elude tackles, who can make some plays, who can put us in positions where we can win games. We know that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is for real. They will win enough games to get themselves in position to make a potential playoff run, and then all cards are off the table, off the deck, or off the table, and anything can happen in the playoffs. But I think Ben Roethlisberger would be just what the doctor ordered for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year.
But, Nick, even if he is healthy and ready to go, the Steelers are no longer the darlings of their division. It's a much more competitive division. You think this team, as it stands, could make the playoffs?
In order to make the playoffs, they're going to be better than Cleveland, at the very least, and I don't think they are. Like, Baltimore's going to win that division. Barring something catastrophic happening to Lamar Jackson, and with their backups RG3, and we saw RG3 on this show say very pointedly to me, he thinks he's still an NFL starter. So maybe even if something happens to Lamar, Baltimore could piece it together. But set that aside. Baltimore's going to win that division. So the question is, who's the second best team, Pittsburgh or Cleveland? And I believe it to be Cleveland. We talk about Pittsburgh's 8-8 last year in heroic terms, and the Browns 7-9 in catastrophic terms. The Browns upgraded at quarterback, upgraded at coach, had a better offseason. What the Steelers did is replaced the Duck and Mason with Big Ben, and I understand why for a lot of people that is a massive upgrade, but 38-year-old, bearded or not bearded, Big Ben coming off a major injury, I'm not certain how drastic of an upgrade it is, and I want to just reiterate the point on the weapons. Put the weapons of the Browns up against the weapons of the Steelers. Is there a single skill position guy on the Steelers we are certain would start for the Browns? Their best player on the skill position guy is Juju. He's not as good as Odell, and is he better than Jarvis? It's a coin flip. I mean, what side do you take? Their tight end, it is not better than Austin Hooper. Vance McDonald, pardon me, is not better than Austin Hooper. And I don't know if James Conner is better than either of the Browns running backs in Chubb or Kareem Hunt. So I just don't think Ben's going to have the full weaponry he would need on that side of the football, Wilds. And I think the Browns are a better team. I think Pittsburgh is 8-8 once again.
I thought also, Nick, what you said about the Steelers' backups, and back to the first segment we did, if Cam ends up in Pittsburgh, then you've got a lot of health insurance for Big Ben there. And just to Greg's point, Greg, your beard and Ben Roethlisberger's beard are two vastly different things. And as everyone knows, Greg is training to become Mr. Olympia All Natural or Mr. World, or I believe it's a Mr. Universe. It's one of those combination titles. And we all know it's a scientific fact, Greg. You weren't on the show when I said this. When anyone gets a haircut or a beard trim, you immediately get stronger. It is a fact. You're in the barber chair like, wow, all of a sudden I'm much stronger. And it's a fact in the bodybuilding world. So once you enter your Mr. Olympia competition, you're going to get a fresh haircut and look even better.
I'll take it.
Hey, Greg, as much as I want to keep watching that video because I can analyze and overanalyze and psychoanalyze it, what do you make of what Nick had to say? Whose team would you put up there if you had to pick the second team in the division, the Browns or the Steelers?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Browns. I like what they've assembled. I like the fact that they have now Kevin Stefanski. I think that offense will look a lot different. But for me, where I start to question is at the most important position, which is Baker Mayfield. I know he has the talent. I know he has the potential, but I need to see it manifest. I need to see it translate into wins and consistency on the football field, and we just have not seen that. I know what I could get from Ben Roethlisberger, 38 or not. I know he makes the Pittsburgh Steelers a much more viable and better team looking at them from now versus last year when they didn't have him on the roster, so or on the field. So I get it. Optically, yes, the Cleveland Browns look great and exciting and like they're the next big thing to make the leap, but they haven't done it. You have to learn how to win, and I just don't know if they are quite there yet.
Here's the issue, though, for the Steelers, and then I'll get to the Browns, listen, their quarterback situation last year was a disaster, but they knew that, and they operated their game plan accordingly. They were trying to beat you 16-14. I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger is signing up for that style of play. Ben, prior to the injury, was a wildly turnover-prone quarterback. I think the second most turnovers to Jameis of any quarterback in the previous 4 or 5 seasons, thereabouts. It was Jameis, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger. What do two of those guys have in common? Aging gunslingers whose arms maybe aren't what they once were. And I want to be very clear on this. I would be shocked if at the end of the season, Ben Roethlisberger had a better year than Baker Mayfield. If Baker Mayfield this year is not at the very least the second best quarterback in his own division, then the Browns picked the wrong guy. If Baker, with the new head coach, with those weapons, with the humbling season he just had, if he can't have not just a bounce back year, bounce back from the depths, but a legitimate Pro Bowl, if not better, caliber season, then the Browns are going to be in the quarterback business, and there's going to be the same old Browns again. So it's not only that I'm, shorting Ben Roethlisberger stock, I'm also still holding on to my Baker Mayfield stock, which, dipped precipitously over the last year. I don't think he's cooked. I think he had a bad season with a terrible coaching staff, and I expect the Browns and Baker to be far better next year, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.